Imagine your older sister walking out the door and never coming back. Imagine waiting days, weeks, years, and now decades without knowing what happened, without justice, and without closure. This is the reality for our guest today, Melissa, whose 13-year-old sister, Deanna, vanished in 1990. For 35 years, Deanna's story has been one of unanswered questions. We're going to talk about why her case still matters and why we can't let her be forgotten. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Veteran Lifestyle Magazine podcast. Today, I have a very special guest, one of my very besties, Selena Konmacki.
Hi, Annette Wittenberger. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joe, for letting me slot into your space today. I really appreciate you.
Oh my gosh. So today we're diving into a heartbreaking and deeply personal story that's been waiting for answers for 35 long years. On July 22nd, 1990, 13-year-old Deanna Merrifield vanished from Killeen, Texas, right here. And her case has remained unsolved ever since. The lack of investigation at the time left her family with more questions than answers. And decades later, they're still searching for the truth.
So we're honored to be joined today by Deanna's sister, Melissa, who has fought tirelessly to keep Deanna's name and story alive. We were just chatting kind of offline about something I have here that says, when you share your story with someone, it becomes a part of their story too. And I just feel like that is so what Melissa is doing. And as a fellow sister, it just kind of like just hits my heart like to its core. So she's here to share not just the facts about that summer night, but the impact this tragedy has had on her family and the hope that she has for justice that we all want to see.
Yeah, so this is more than a missing persons case. It's a call to remember that no missing child should be forgotten. We invite you to listen, to share, and to help keep Deanna's story in the light where it belongs.
Yeah, we are going to bring Deanna or Melissa up. And I just want to make sure I share this before we do that is Annette and I, why I'm here and kind of like why cases like this or stories like this we're drawn to. And I know, Annette and I met many years ago, and I'll let Annette say why she's drawn to stories like this.
Yeah, so my daughter grew up watching NCIS, Criminal Minds, and although her dad said, don't let her watch that, she's too young, we were so drawn to it, right? But the funny thing is that she went off to college and she received her bachelor's and her master's degree in criminal justice because she saw, even though it was a TV show, we knew that there were real stories out there that were not solved, right? And so we have her father-in-law is a retired Houston PD. Her husband is currently going through the Houston PD Academy. My son is looking at becoming a Killeen PD. So this is really something that we don't take lightly. These stories that are not, that are brushed over, that are forgotten about, whatever the case is, that is not something that, like I said, that we take lightly. And so it's very instilled into our hearts and our minds. And so when I happened to come across the vigil for Deanna, I stopped everything and I immediately reached out and said, I am so sorry I can't attend, but what can I do when I come back from being out of town? And we connected and we talked, and I said, we have to. And if you are willing, could we please share this story in other ways? And so this is how it came about.
No, I mean, and like you, I mean, my grandfather is a retired Honolulu police detective, right? And I mean, that's where I grew up in Hawaii. And it wasn't that part, but it was like while he was retired and just growing up, I would sit with him and we would watch Law and Order. And it wasn't like you said, like the entertainment of the show, but it was actually watching my grandfather be so like just kind of always like, you always have to be diligent and watch and see how you can always help.
Right.
And I just kind of always remembered that, and so I think I watch Law and Order, not to like watch, but just to learn.
Yes.
So I can say like, oh, I can be better outside to do this. And so I think, getting to speak with Melissa today is kind of, again, we've told her this, it's just an honor for her to say yes to speaking, here with you, Annette, and letting me be a part of that conversation. I wish my grandfather was here so he could say, let's ask Melissa if they did this and this and this, you know what I mean? Because he was a very quiet man, but he was always thinking up here. So I guess without further ado, right, Annette?
Right.
Let's bring Melissa up, I'll let you do that so we don't do that remove.
Add the stage, remove the stage.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, we are so honored. So honored.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd like to begin with you sharing a little bit about Deanna, who she was, her personality, what she loved to do. Like, how was she as a person, or how is she as a person?
Mm-hmm. So growing up, Deanna was my older sister. I'm one of 4 girls. Deanna also has a twin sister and our oldest sister. To me, Deanna was, when we were young, girly, very girly. Our grandmother called her Prissy. We would, play with Barbies and she loved watching She-Ra, Princess of Power. And as we got older, she liked being outside, exploring. I wouldn't say necessarily a tomboy, but she loved to explore. We would explore the creeks nearby, and she loved riding her bike. She was really, really smart. She was in the gifted program and really good at reading. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Deanna sounds like her and I would have been watching She-Ra after school and trying to find like that right sword, you know what I mean,
yes.
to kind of go up. So I love that about her.
I was thinking about how I used to play in the creek and collect tadpoles. Yes, I would never do that. Yeah, I would never do that now. But I was invincible back then. Yes.
Somebody reminded me on social media that we used to take bologna and yarn and fish for crawdads in the creek, and then we would race them.
Okay.
Never ate them, just race them.
That's so funny. How fun. Can you walk us through the day that Deanna disappeared?
So Deanna wasn't living with me when she disappeared. She was living with our grandma, and they stayed up late watching movies that night. And that was on July 21st. The morning of July 22nd, about 1:30 in the morning, our grandma went to bed, and I guess Deanna snuck out of the house, and then at around 3:30, she knocked on her twin sister's window at our uncle's house, which was on Dimple Street. So it was only about 2.5 miles from where our grandmother lived. And they had a really quick conversation before our uncle woke up and kind of Deanna left. And she left in a brown or bronze 4-door car with 2 white or Hispanic males.
At that time, what did the authorities say? What did they tell your family? What were they thinking at that moment when she disappeared?
So when our grandmother woke up on the 22nd and found that Deanna wasn't there, she called our mom, and then she immediately went to the police station. And Deanna's case, unfortunately, she was filed as a runaway case. Um, she hadn't ran away before. She didn't leave a note, and she didn't take any of her personal belongings, which at that time, she was 13 years old, and we had been shuffled through different relatives. So those things that you have with you are things you're going to take with you, because that's all you have, really.
Mm.
So, yeah, so they, filed her as a runaway, and
Mhm.
there wasn't a whole lot done at that
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
What your grandparents, I mean, was there support in trying to make it so that it wasn't a missing, like, you know what I mean? What kind of support did your family get?
So, our grandmother, I think people at the time thought maybe she did run away because things were so kind of tumultuous. And so there wasn't a whole lot of action. Our mom and our stepfather really didn't do anything. Our mom was in and out of the hospital. She was an alcoholic. Um, so there wasn't, she didn't do anything. And our grandmother, there just wasn't a whole lot. Runaways were treated a lot differently. So no media attention, there weren't like posters printed and distributed, nothing like that.
I'm so sorry, because it's like those are those critical moments, right? That you say you have to take action very quickly.
Right.
Um, and I'm sure that's so frustrating for you now as an adult, kind of seeing how that played out.
Right, right. I kind of wish that no child was ever
Right,
filed as a runaway.
right.
I think it's easy to treat the disappearance differently when they're filed as a runaway. And in my opinion, if a child is missing, no matter how it happened, that child needs to be found immediately. If they ran away, we can sort out why later.
Yeah, that's such a true statement. I agree. I agree.
Absolutely.
Um, I how like can I, if I may ask, and I know it's not in the
Mhm.
set of questions, but were you as a young child, after that, were you able to travel to Colleen
So
to, you know?
I was, yeah, we were living in Colleen.
Oh, got it,
Um,
got it, got it.
yeah,
Okay, just in it. Okay.
yeah. I just recently moved out of state
Okay.
after being back for a while. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we were all born and raised in Colleen. And
Okay.
yeah.
Got
Mm.
it. So, I mean, you were in school. Were there
Mhm.
conversations going on with friends, or you know what I mean? How was it for you at your age? Um,
So I was 11 when she
mhm.
went missing. Um, and again, it was, Deanna ran away from home. That's basically anytime I tried to broach it, she ran away. She didn't want to be there. As far as like school, I think it was like a English teacher or something like that. Because I went into sixth grade after she ran away, and I had written something about it. So she would occasionally ask me if she had been found or anything. That was it. Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to kind of get my head around like how it was for you, kind
Mhm.
of with that. You know what I mean? And so, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think, I knew something was wrong, whether it be that she ran away or I knew my sister was gone and it didn't feel right. And yeah, but it also wasn't something we really talked about at home.
So, I mean, there is a question that we did, check with you, and I'll ask that. Did you ever feel that the case was dismissed or not taken seriously. Like, having all these things said, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, obviously, in 1990, she was reported as a runaway. Unfortunately, even now, when children are reported as runaways, there's not a whole lot of investigation that goes on with Killeen Police Department, just because they have so many runaways. But yeah, I didn't feel it was. Yeah, it was kind of dismissed then. Our grandmother, apparently in 1993, somebody called the Killeen Police Department and said that Deanna was back home. So they closed the case, and they didn't like verify or anything. They just closed the case, which again, even now is still common. So when our grandmother found out in 1995, she had the case reopened. And Killeen Police Department basically, due to a lack of information, they closed it again almost immediately. So it wasn't until 2007 that I was able to get the case reopened, and there was some investigation then, but it was still kind of, I want to say, investigation light. They were still kind of operating under the assumption that she had left and she was probably out there somewhere. When they couldn't find her out there somewhere, it kind of died down again.
Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Annette.
No, I'm just like, how did this just, what did this do to your family? I mean, it's just like open, close, and you guys are just trying to figure out what to do, and then you have to live your own life. So how does that change the dynamic between your other siblings and family?
Yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, at the time that she disappeared, our family was already very dysfunctional. There was abuse in the home, and that's how she ended up at our grandmother's. And our mother was an alcoholic, so it was already dysfunctional before she even went missing. After, it was kind of still dysfunctional, but business as usual. And so it affected us personally, but again, we didn't share that with each other. It just was not talked about. So until, the case was reopened, I think in some ways it didn't affect the dynamics of our family.
Okay.
I think now, as adults, our mother passed away in 2002, and I haven't talked to our stepfather since 2006. But as far as us sisters and the extended family, it's changed the dynamics more now, I think, than it did when we were younger, just because at this point people are like, you need to just let it go. If there's not really a whole lot we can do. And I refuse. So there is, like, some tension sometimes and things like that between family members, because I'm like, asking all these questions and nobody really wants to answer them. So I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, and things like that. So it does cause some tension.
Yeah, absolutely. How have you personally found ways to cope with the grief, the uncertainty, and obviously you still have to live your life. So how do you handle all that?
So I think for a long time I was just like a lot of people in my family, just kind of in denial, and you just push it to the back and you bury it, and you try to, just pretend it's not going on. But I realized that nothing was going to change. We were never going to know, and Deanna would never have peace if I just pretended it wasn't there. So the ways I cope with it now, I think advocating, not just for Deanna, but for all missing, especially runaways, um, and therapy, of course, and just trying to get answers, because I'm one of those people that if I have a problem, I don't want to just talk about the problem. I have to try and fix the problem. So yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say, like, I'm glad. Thank you for not giving up, right? Thank you for not listening to the voices that said to you, Melissa, like, don't, why? Just let it go. And I think that just is a big testament to you, and the love that you have for Deanna. And, obviously that is your driving force. You know what I mean? So I just really want to make sure I acknowledge that, because I just think it's, that's how you keep this needle moving forward to hopefully some resolution in some way, right? Is by continuing to be Deanna's voice. And that's like the torch that you're holding, right, Melissa?
Yes, basically. Yeah, I would say the love for her has definitely kept me going, because I think there are times when I have had to walk away, raising children and things like that. But I always come back to, where is Deanna? Just because I can't imagine ever just having someone you love leave and never doing anything about it.
If I can, may I ask, like, because I have no idea about the justice system, but like, are you able to reclassify Deanna's case not to be a runaway case, and to be maybe obviously something a little bit with greater, you know what I mean? I have no idea how that works. And
So I get mixed signals with that. Some of the detectives call her missing. Some still refer to her as a runaway, and some say missing, endangered. I think that's something they have to do, but yeah, I'm not. I know it can be done. I'm just not sure of what the steps are to do that.
My brain's already like, so who can I call to find that answer?
Yeah.
no, right. I have a classmate that he just kind of retired from his police career in Hawaii, and he was doing a segment part of the police department where it was about missing and stuff like that. And I definitely want to ping him with this and say, hey, like, but it's kind of crazy how things vary from state to state, right? Or even from county to county, I imagine.
Yeah.
So, let's just, I guess here, I'm going to jump into this question, but how has the internet and the social media change your ability to kind of keep this story? I mean, like I said earlier, right? Give this more legs and a voice to helping reach more people.
Right. So when when the case was originally reopened in 2007, I, started like a Facebook page and a MySpace page, and the internet was still, especially social media, kind of like the Wild West. Um, so it was pretty wild back then, and not super helpful. I think the thinking has changed now. There's a lot more people who want to share posters, missing person posters, and share information about missing people. So it has been really, really helpful nowadays, connecting with podcasters and even just media in general. It's really helpful. I'd say it's helpful in getting like the local community who, for the most part, had no idea about Deanna and still doesn't really have an, know about Deanna and know about her story. So I think social media has really helped in that way.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I was just watching a show and I was talking to Annette about it, and just it was about like a DNA project, and just even how
Mm-hmm.
DNA plays such a big part in helping cases now, and this organization is all volunteer based, and
Mm-hmm.
it's that drive to help, right? That drive to help. And I feel like
Right.
the social media, I mean, I love what Annette does because she loves to she, other than you, Melissa, and that is probably the biggest advocator that I know in my life. She really just truly loves to ensure that she cannot sleep at night if she thinks she can do something, and so I appreciate that the social media can be a big part of this for you
Mm-hmm.
now, as well as a tool. Have you connected with anybody online that has really helped like push the story for
Absolutely.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, last fall, I was trying to figure out what I could do to try and push her story more. And I was able to do a couple of podcasts, but I was still looking for more. So, beginning of this year, I found a conference called Advocacy Conference, and it was the first year that it happened in March. And basically, their goal was to get families of missing people together and kind of show them what they can do for their missing loved ones. And but there was also, like therapy dogs on site and yoga. And so that advocacy conference was a complete game changer for me
Mm.
in how to communicate with detectives and how to communicate with, podcasts and media, and how to organize things like a candlelight vigil, because one of the creators of the advocacy conference, Whitney St. Andre, she's the one who helped me put together Deanna's vigil. And thank goodness she was there, because it would not have gone off if she wasn't there. So it has been amazing and also infuriating that there are so many people in the same shoes that we're in. Um, but I love being able to speak to them. It's like a different language that only people who have a missing loved one can know.
Yeah.
And so being able to speak kind of our language is really, really helpful.
I'm so glad you found that, because it is hard to find someone that even listen,
Hmm.
and not push you to the side, but it has a whole community of those, which, like you said, is infuriating, because why is there even a community of people that are still
Right.
have people missing in their life, but you have an advocate that can just really help you when you can't even think anymore? Because I
Right.
can't, right?
Right.
I can't imagine, but you have that person, and I'm so glad she was able to help you put that vigil together, because I saw that. I was like, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad you have that.
Yeah. It's really been helpful. And, not just them advocating, but them kind of teaching us how to advocate for our loved ones too. It's
Hmm.
really, it's really empowering. It
Yeah.
really is.
Is there anything that you can share regarding what is currently happening with Deanna's
Mhm.
case? What? Yeah.
So I will say there is a detective with Killeen Police Department
Yeah.
who I adore, and he's been looking at her case basically off the clock
Oh,
when he doesn't have other cases assigned to him. And he has done, I think me and my husband were looking. The first time we heard from him was at the beginning of April. So 4 months ago. He has done more for Deanna in the 4 months that he's been working it on his off time than anyone else had. And so that has really, really helped to see movement, to see things being done. We had our, he coordinated our first organized search for Deanna, the first search in 35 years. Things like that. So that has been super helpful. And then also Private Investigators for the Missing, which is a nonprofit investigation firm, has taken her case, and they're actually collaborating with this detective to be able to pull in resources and get things done.
Oh my God.
I know.
I mean, the first one in 35 years. I just,
Yeah.
But God bless him for
Yeah.
being that
Yeah.
person
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
was willing to do that. That's just like, oh my God, I want to hug him. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
for-
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And he pulled in, the explorers, and he pulled in Crystal Fields from Teen Texas Canines. She came with her dogs, who are adorable. And it was just, we didn't, it was kind of an elimination, like, okay, this, nothing happened here, but
Mm-hmm.
just to see things finally being done
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah. Gosh, it's wild just to like know that. I mean, we had to wait for this man to be born, go through his training in the field. You know what I mean? So that his passion can show up for you, Melissa, and your family to be part of
Right.
this journey, right? And
Yeah.
woo.
There's a lot of cards that just kind of had to fall into place, and finally, after 35 years, they're falling into place.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I mean, you let him know if he needs like people. Me and Annette, we're right here. We'll do whatever. We're coffee go-getters.
That's all we need.
We're
all we need.
researching. We're volunteers to the core. So you let this man know he doesn't have to do it by himself late at night. We'll DoorDash, and we will help. Because we'll keep the fuel going for him as well, because that's definitely like a new driver to help you kind of breathe a little bit. I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
man.
I can't imagine how you felt out there, because you showed me a picture, and I just like I did the emotions while you were there during that search. Like what was
it's funny because by the time that search happened, me and my husband had moved to New Mexico, and we drove there to do it, and on the drive there, we're kind of preparing ourselves, for if we do find something, and he's like fully preparing to, like, for me to be super emotional and super sad, and things like that, and we were kind of making up a game plan beforehand just in case. And once we got out there, just to see people out there who also cared and wanted to find Deanna too, I wasn't sad. I was not sad. It just filled my heart up so much, because it had never happened before.
Do you guys have any more coming up planned? I mean, are there future ones in the works right now for different areas, or
So I think this detective and the Private Investigators for the Missing are working on some more technology type searches, drone stuff and things like that for now. And if we get an idea of stuff that needs to be physically searched, then we'll start planning those.
Yeah.
Got it. Hey, look, my husband is a licensed drone operator, and I am offering our services, obviously, to help. So just know you have people now, Melissa. Like, you tell us, you say, tell them tell Selena and Annette and her husband to take the drone and fly it here and give some footage to your guy. Do you know what I mean?
He's officially in the voluntold husband group.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. They know. They know. I'll come out of something with Annette and he'll say, now what? You know what I mean? So
what are we doing now?
Yeah, exactly. Real quick, I know we hadn't shared this, and I know maybe everybody saw it, but I wanted to share kind of a picture of Deanna here. So hold on, let me see if I do this right. Just so everybody knows who we're really talking about. I mean, she's just beautiful. You know what I mean? And definitely giving the She-Ra energy vibes. That I know me and Annette would be like, she's a new bestie for sure. So, but we wanted to I just wanted to make sure I popped this up so that, we could kind of also see this, and we'll come back to this after. But, there's Deanna. This is Melissa's sister.
Yeah.
This is who we're talking about today.
Yes.
All right, Annette, what else do we have going on?
So are there any specific actions that our listeners can take to help by sharing your story, contacting authorities? Like what are you asking for today?
So yes, I need more people in Killeen and the surrounding area to know that Deanna's missing. And so sharing her poster on social media. If you want to distribute physical posters, I will have them printed and sent to you so that can be done. All you have to do is contact me on social media, on her pages or on her website. And then, just talking about Deanna. I strongly believe that there are people in that area still that know what happened to Deanna. And, I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. I'm not trying to go through the whole justice and legal system. I just would like to know where Deanna is.
Can you share that location? What can you share so that if people are listening in, they're living in that area, they can go, oh, wait a minute.
So in the Killeen area.
Killeen area. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Killeen is kind of big. So like, is it closer?
Okay. So, I mean, we've all grown up and kind of, even the people that still live in the area kind of disperse a little bit. So like Killeen, Harker Heights, Nolanville, things like that.
Got it.
Okay.
Or even Belton or Copper's Cove. People may know.
Okay.
But yeah, I think there are people that know what happened. And like I said,
that Melissa, that is like infuriating. Like I'm flabbergasted that someone just can't just leave an anonymous tip and say, yes, this is what it is. Or this is what, you know what I mean? This is what I know. And,
do it anonymously. Like I said, I'm not trying, I'm not out for revenge. I'm not out for justice. I
just want your sister back.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I encourage you. I mean, it's just Annette and I, but we encourage those out there. If you do know something really, truly, like, say something.
Yeah.
Don't just watch and say, maybe somebody else will tell the story that I know.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And because it's so, I don't know, do something good for yourself and for humanity and like help a family kind of close the loop on this one and get some resolution. I'm imploring you people, whoever you are that knows. I mean, that's just because I'm an older sister, Melissa. So I would be like you. I'd be pounding the doors for my sisters. And it's frustrating to know that somebody knows and they just are not
Mhm.
saying something. So I'm so sorry for that, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think
And-
Annette has, has-
I just, what would you say to Deanna right now if you could speak to her?
If I could speak to her, if she was like face to face, I would, and I guess even if not, I would say that I'm sorry that she had to experience what she experienced as a child, and that she didn't deserve any of it, and that she can come home now because it's safe. Um, it will be okay, and that we miss her, and there are a lot of people that care about her.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
no. Yep. That's all I'm going to do is just, I'm going to let that sit on my heart.
Yes.
Melissa, we did show your website earlier, and I just want to bring it back up, and maybe you can share with everybody the website and the information on there that you want them to look at. Let me just pop that up for Annette. I'll just let you share a little bit about the website that you guys have.
Yeah. So the website is findingdeanna.com, and it has a lot more detailed information about what was going on in Deanna's life and her as a child before she went missing. And it also has, links to news and podcasts that we have been on. And of course, yeah, the information. There's Bell County Crime Stoppers right there. You can submit an anonymous tip.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But then also there's her basic information you can find on the other websites too.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Let me just get back. Let me get it back here. All right, Annette.
So what would be the best way for people to get information to you? Or do you want them to go to the website, Facebook, or just those links?
So the best way to get information to me is to, social media is obviously, I try to be on there as much as I can. Um, so her Facebook and Instagram are Finding Deanna, or you can email me at info@findingdeanna.com. Or like I said, Crime Stoppers, you can submit an anonymous tip there too.
Okay. info@findingdeanna.com. Okay.
You guys, she's making it easy for you to contact her. She's not trying to make this a difficult move for somebody. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna put our faces like this here real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, just so for differences and for which I'll call, but gosh, I just want to say thank you again, Melissa, for being here. And again, I think just as a fellow sister, and that also as a sister, and just kind of really advocating, and not giving up on her, I think that's just, again, a true testament to your character of how fantastic you are as a person. Just so you know, and you don't forget that, because it takes a lot, right, to do what you're doing emotionally, physically, all the things.
Yeah, it does take a lot. It's easy to bury your head in the sand. And I can understand why some people want to do that if you don't have the support system there. For me personally, I just can't imagine, and it's hard it's hard to not do it. And I will keep doing it until we have answers for Deanna. And
Yeah.
even after that, I'll do it for other people or until I'm dead.
Yeah. sorry, last question. You mentioned you have children. Are your children old enough to be part of like your efforts right now, or they're not at that? Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
So we have a son that's 25 and a daughter that'll
Oh,
be 21 next month. So
yeah.
yeah, my son actually went, Colleen Police Department did a ribbon hanging for National Crime Victims or
Mm-hmm.
Violent Crime Victims Week in the spring. So he was there with me for that, and that was also the first time I sat down with the detective. So
Yeah.
it was super
Oh,
helpful having him there for that. And then
yeah.
our daughter, she's in the military, but
Wow.
she does, like, she came for her vigil and things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
Oh, thank her for her service from Annette and
Mhm.
I. Annette's a
Yeah.
retired veteran, and so that's also a lot of sacrifice, you know.
Yes.
So,
hmm
oh my gosh. Okay,
Amazing.
Annette, I'm gonna
Yes.
because I keep chatting because there's so many things I do want to ask Melissa, but we're gonna keep it to the structure we've created, right, Melissa?
No. It's like we need to ask all the questions, right? So that our guests
Yeah.
can, whoever's listening or
Yeah.
watching, that they can know. So absolutely. I mean, I just, we were saying something earlier about, it takes such courage and strength. And I'm thinking about when we were raised, we're all about the same age.
Yeah.
And
hmm
in the 80s, we don't talk about things, everything's kept inside the home. And so
Right.
you could see whatever they want to call us, Gen Xers or whatever, we kind of rule because we are in that generation who don't give up. We are fierce. We use our
hmm
voice. We, so if you want to make fun of us, people, we're those ones you want to keep around because we have grown up in the 80s. We know what it's
Right.
like. And
Yeah.
so it shows how you are trying to change. You're trying to make change and like stop the I can't think of the word right now. You are in that generation, in our generation, that's
Yeah.
not giving up. And
No.
Right.
Yeah.
people tend to forget that how we
Mm-hmm.
are. We might be annoying to our kids because my kids are about the same age as yours, 22 and 25.
Mm,
And so they're always like, you're so lame, you're so cringe.
yeah.
But they don't see how fierce we are,
Yeah.
Right.
and
Yeah.
what, yeah, right, what you
Until, yeah, I think until it's absolutely needed, we're able to keep it kind of tucked away. And then
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's time to really show up, um, yeah, we do know how to
Yeah.
get things done.
they
hmm
do.
For sure. I will say this too as a kind of a last plea, just because it does make sense. Like I think about my mom and her generation and how they are like, don't get involved, just
hmm
let it alone. And so my mom is in her 70s, and I really want to encourage the adult children to speak to their parents also if they know something, and tell them this is an age where people do talk and that it is
Right.
okay to get involved. And I mean, I'll tell you what, you don't have to tell Annette's mom twice. She would get involved if she knew something. So my mom, though, no, I'd have to, she's a
hmm
very, very, so I just, speaking to our generational thing, because now we can speak to our parents in a more like, obviously be respectful, but just, encourage your elderly parents, right?
Right.
To speak up because that's hard for them too, I imagine. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whew,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Okay. Oh gosh, I love that you went to the generational thing. I mean, we drank water out of hoses with all of our friends at the same time.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Germs didn't even exist back then.
No.
Nobody had
No.
germs because we were
No.
all
No. It's probably why I don't share straws now, to be honest, guys. But yeah. So anyway, I Melissa, thank you again. Like
yeah.
I really do. I'm very inspired to kind of, do what we can, Annette and I, so I hope we stay in touch, and I hope we stay connected, and, offer whatever we can, so
Thank you. I
yeah, of
appreciate it.
course. No, of
We're,
course.
we're gonna get together and hang flyers because I'm already
Yeah.
I'm already thinking like you mentioned before, whatever we need to do. If you just want to send me like the format, and then I could just I can
Yeah.
distribute it out to people,
Yeah.
whatever help we can do, because there's obviously Colleen, Belton, it's growing. The cities are growing. So we
Right.
have more places to hang these flyers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's just so much to do. So yeah, just let me know. But I again, caveating on what Selena said, thank you so much for still doing what you're doing, because not everybody can continue the strength to have what you have. So it's
Thank you.
a lot. Is there anything else you would like to tell our audience that could, help you in any way? Is there any information, any tips, anything at all?
Um, Really, mostly I want to thank y'all for getting her story out there, because it is so important, for the local community in Killeen to know this happens right in our neighborhoods. And then also, I think it's important to remember that, when Deanna went missing, I was 11. She was my big sister. Now I can say without a doubt, Deanna was a child. She was a baby. And maybe I've talked to some of her friends, and, um, they were all teenagers at that time, but she was a child. She was 13.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to keep that in mind,
Sure.
especially for people who may know something. Um, think about your children
Sure.
and what you would want to see happening.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And do you want to take 1 minute to show a little clip really quick to thank our sponsors for helping us to make this happen? So we just stand by.
Okay, thank you.
And now we would like to thank our sponsors: Sea Waves, Millspouse Transition, Sales Platoon, Mill Space Books, Mountain Up Cap Company, Maxwell Soaps, A Wild Ride Called Life, Bunker Labs, Shield of Sisters, the Utah Veteran Business Resource Center, W Brand Publishing, and Hauli Socially Inspired. Thank you again, and we will play our outro. And it's not playing. Okay. Oh my gosh. Give me 1 second.